Hello, gang. It's time again for the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is a First Amendment Freestyle Friday. It's just past high noon, so may I be the first to say a good afternoon to you and your family. Hope your family and your family's family are doing well. It's Friday, May. That was the M that I saw there. Friday, May 10, 2024. And this is our episode 568. I don't know why I'm feeling under the weather. It might be I had a little less sleep than normal last night, and I think the allergies are kicking up. If you heard the crossover with Chris Hand, you probably know it is due to biological sexism, or at least that's what we're going with. But we'll sally forth and make it through another day of what I hope to be broadcast excellence. I mentioned 568. That is our episode count. We'll get to the title of the episode coming up in just a moment after I remind you that you can listen on a variety of platforms, to include the radio station, obviously, 99.7 FM, broadcasting all the way down to Alabama, all the way up to Kentucky, and all points in between. We also have a variety of platforms that you can find us on your social media. You can, any social media platform out there, we're there. Any place that streams information or music or news and talk, we're there as well. And then we have our own app. Download us on your app store of your choosing. By typing in Supertalk 99.7 WTN. And then, of course, Supertalk TV is up and running. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. For you masochists in the listening audience, hello. Thank you for being there. Nice to see you, too. Bell K chooses not to participate in the television side of things. This is why we call him Headless Bell. But he does entitle them. And he always tells me at the same time that he tells you. In episode 568 is entitled.
Matt Murphy asks, have you shamed a politician this week? There's 5 hours left to accomplish that.
That's true. Wait, 5?
Yeah, noon. We got day ends at 5. Work day ends at 5. So.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, poor Brian Wilson, he's got 2 more hours after that. I thought you were including him in this.
Well, no, he's not going to be able to get a hold of a politician on a Friday at 7 to shame him.
That's true. Apparently, he can't get a hold of politicians at 6:35 in the morning either, but...
You just had to take the shot.
I didn't take the shot. He told me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have a reference to it, but I don't know the details.
I don't know the details either. I just know I'll see him tomorrow. I'll ask him what happened.
The point being, shame a politician. They deserve it.
They do deserve it, most of them. No, I reference, I'm not trying to make a bigger deal of this than it is or whatever, but apparently Congressman Andy Ogles was scheduled to be on with Nashville's Morning News, and he failed to make it for some reason, and they were unable to connect with him.
That's not Brian's fault.
I don't know that's I'm just referencing politicians that are no-shows. But I hope Andy's not a no-show tomorrow. I'll see him at in Spring Hill.
Well, you know what? In Andy's defense, when I called him Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m., he jumped right on with the guys. And it was in the middle of all those horrible storms. So, he does make himself available.
That is true. We just, in our world, we don't like to schedule things and then those schedules not come together. But maybe there's a reason. Perhaps Andy was busy working on some Murray County stuff or Columbia stuff with regard to the tornadic activity that happened a couple of nights ago. And we'll start there. The cleanup continues. As obviously, there's not a lot you can do but clean up debris and try to get lives back together and help as you possibly can with regard to the tornadoes that ripped through our state just 2 nights ago. It feels like there were 3 confirmed Middle Tennessee tornadoes. The National Weather Service is out today. They're checking out more. They confirmed at least 3 tornadoes plowed through Middle Tennessee. Crews were still surveying damage as of this morning. The Nashville office posted on X late yesterday, that tornadoes touched down in Murray County in Columbia, in Robertson County near Springfield, and in Rutherford County in Eagleville, leaving behind a path of destruction, injuries, and at least 1 person dead. Crews responsible for determining if a tornado happened. You know what they do is they determine, the EF scale is a little bit confusing because one thinks that you can determine that by looking at a tornado, and you cannot. The EF scale is designed to rate tornadoes based on their damage. So you determine, you can get a sense of it based on the size. If you see a big honk and wedge tornado coming, you can guess that it's an E3 or an E4, EF3, EF4, or even an EF5. But it truly takes an assessment of the after effects in order to get a true concept what these tornadoes have done. And National Weather Service in Nashville said, from our work on the damage survey teams today, the tornado count from yesterday currently stands at 3, an EF3 in Columbia with 140-mile-an-hour winds, an EF1 with 90-mile-an-hour winds in Robertson County near Springfield, and an EF0 with 80-mile-an-hour winds in Rutherford County near Eagleville. Obviously, they determine wind speed primarily by the amount of damage. They know how much wind it will take to snap trees. They know how much wind it will take to rip certain roofs and whatnot. And so they've obviously done that. We are still assessing the rest of the damage done around Middle Tennessee. The Weather Service confirmed those tornadoes. Columbia was by far the strongest. And, as my memory, kind of goes back to 2 nights ago, I realized that, a lot of us can say this, obviously, that missed that by, an hour. We came through there about an hour after the tornado came through there. The winds there were expected to be around 140 miles an hour, as I mentioned. Multiple people were injured, and at least one died due to the storms. Crews continued their cleanup and to assess the damage as of, literally, right now, this moment. So an estimated 500 people, including students, teachers, and young children and parents, showed their support for 10-year-old Asher and his family at a prayer vigil in Rutherford County at the central office of the school system there. Schools closed yesterday, and I don't know how many schools are closed today. I've not looked, but I would expect that there are some school systems that are closed today as well as we continue to assess the damage. We live in a world where it is often easy to move on if you're not directly affected by some of these things. I think about the folks of Hendersonville that are still, in a long-term fashion, recovering from the storms that happened there. Madison, Bell, you live in that part of the world where a tornado hit. What was that, 6 months ago, 8 months ago?
Something like that.
I don't really even remember when.
Wiped out a trailer park 2.5 miles from my house.
It's easy for us that we're not directly affected to just move on with life, and the next headline pops up, and then there you are. But Murray County schools are obviously closed, as Steve mentioned. It's an ongoing situation. It's a tragic situation, and our hearts go out to those who have been dramatically affected and directly affected and impacted by the storms that happened just 2 days ago. Once again, life moves on, and people not directly affected move on with it, but those that have been directly affected in some cases will never move on as they were because of the impact of the storms themselves.
Did you have a chance to interact with the gentleman who called in yesterday about losing his aunt?
I did not. I did not shoot him an email until late last night, so I'm waiting to see if he's going to email me back. But yeah, we got a call from a gentleman who said that it was his aunt that died in Columbia, and we're waiting to interact with him to find out how we can do more in that case, because according to him, and I've not yet confirmed this, but according to this gentleman that called us, his aunt did not have insurance, and so not only has the aunt passed away, all of their material possessions and their family are gone, and they're looking to try to find a GoFundMe situation so that they can raise money for funeral expenses and other things. As soon as I find out more about that, obviously, I'll pass that along to you at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So that's all to say about the tornado coverage. One of you on the membersnutrition.com super text line asking Spring Hill, Andy Ogles, where the original design, Americans for Prosperity, asked me to be the, MC or the host of an event, a kind of a meet and greet and a question and answer event with Congressman Andy Ogles, Representative Scott Sapicki. I think Jack Johnson's going to be there as well, Senator Jack Johnson. This will be at the Big Bad Breakfast in Murray County in Spring Hill, which I don't know if that's Murray County or not, and I'm sorry that I don't know that, but I don't know if that's Williamson or Murray. But one way or the other, it's in Spring Hill, Big Bad Breakfast. I've seen the facility. It's a great-looking place. And I believe if the redheaded stranger is listening, she can tell me. I believe you need to sign up because they need to know how many eggs to I think breakfast is complimentary. They're serving you breakfast. If you come out and meet your congressman, meet your representative, meet your senator, and I'll find out more information and get that to you coming up before the show ends. Lots to get into. Obviously, the Donald Trump trial is not going very well for the prosecution. It is fascinating to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I often say that I watch CNN so you don't have to. And I do. For me, watching hashtag never CNN, and I call them hashtag never CNN. You know the little hashtags that you put on the X machine? I call them a hashtag. Remember, like hashtag never Trump? When I started calling them hashtag never CNN like 7 or 8 years ago, when the hashtag never Trump was going on. And CNN was the leader in this anti-Trump movement on mainstream media. They facilitated the election of Donald Trump and then set out to destroy Donald Trump as a mea culpa to the liberals that love them so. And they did so in such a way that I'm like, don't watch this garbage. Don't support it. Don't support the sponsors that support it. Why in the world are we? There is a way to stop this, and the way to stop this is to turn off your televisions. Now, some would suggest that I'm being a little bit of a hypocrite because I don't turn off my TV, but I would suggest to you that it is an occupational hazard for me. I don't enjoy it either, but I watch so you don't have to. Hashtag never CNN, a garbage network full of garbage people spewing garbage. And they've gone through 2 management teams and nothing has changed because the inmates run the asylum. Every time someone leaves CNN, they actually get better. Anyone notice that? I mean, Chris Cuomo has become Chris Cuomo's become almost a Republican now. Maybe a rhino, but he has certainly changed his tune now that he's on, what is he on, News Nation, I guess? Don Lemon has improved exponentially because I don't have to see anything about him ever because no one will give him a job because he's a toxic human being.
Married a terrorist.
And married a terrorist. I'm going to fact check that. Don't know if it's true. Bell said it, so I'll assume it is.
Well, he married a white male, so he was a terrorist.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. According to Don, white males are terrorists, and then he married one, and there you are. But I watch this garbage so you don't have to. That's the point. And I'm watching the effort to defend Stormy Daniels on the stand, the effort to defend the ongoing ridiculous nonsense that's happening in New York City. But it is so important, folks, because the possibility exists if they can secure a conviction of Donald Trump, dumb people that don't pay attention to what's going on around them possibly could be impacted at the polls. That is the goal of all of this. And I cannot say it enough. I reiterate it every opportunity I get. The goal of doing this is not to win. They know they're going to lose on appeal. The judge in this case, as biased as he is, as much as he hates Trump, isn't dumb. He knows that that day and a half of Stormy Daniels going through the salacious details of what she alleges was a one-night stand with Donald Trump. He denies it, but look, most of us accept that this happened. Reasonable people look at the facts and look at the evidence in front of them and accept the fact that in 2006, the possibility is very, very high that Donald Trump had an extramarital affair against the vows that he made with his wife, Melania Trump. And most of us don't, we have a full understanding that none of that has anything to do with his performance as president of the United States. And all of this is about extorting Donald Trump for cash from Stormy Daniels. This was a money play for her. And apparently it worked. For the prosecution in New York, this is nothing more than an attempt to affect the outcome of an election through a courtroom. By creating trumped-up charges, no pun intended, you feel like you can get to the stupid people. That's the design. All of you are the smartest listening audience on planet Earth. You are informed, you are engaged, you are opinionated. I love all of those things about you. This is not designed to get to you. I mean, even if you believe that Donald Trump did something wrong, even if you hate Donald Trump, none of this is designed to get to you because you're more informed than most of the people that watch CNN, or maybe even all of the people that watch CNN. What it is designed to do is to pay no attention, or rather to get to the people that pay no attention and to convince them that Donald Trump can't be elected president if he's convicted of a crime like this, and either prevent them from going to the polls and voting against Joe Biden, or creating a dynamic by which they swing their vote, these middle-of-the-roaders or fence voters, they swing their vote against Trump or just stay home. It is believed that if you can do that with about 4% of the population in certain states, then you're a winner. That is the design. They know that they will not win on appeal. I believe that Alvin Bragg, maybe he's not, maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but I think he's smart enough to know that he doesn't really have a case. It is a travesty of justice, as I said yesterday, that you are 4 weeks into this case and they have yet to tell the defendant, whoever the defendant might be, this is wrong. They've yet to tell the defendant what crime they've committed that would create the felony that he is charged with. They've yet to tell him that. Don't believe me. Go look it up. If this is the first that you're hearing of this, well, one, you need to listen to the show more often because I've been saying it quite a bit. And two, that's a fact. That the prosecution has a defendant on trial. The defendant is in the process of attempting to maintain his freedom and to avoid jail time, real jail time. And they have yet to tell him the charge against him. I have no idea. Ray asks the question, and I've tried to figure out the answer to this, Ray. Apparently, it is some sort. I'll ask Jay St. Clair today. How is it legal? I don't know. I don't know how this is legal. I don't know why the judge allows it to go on. It's legal only in as much as the judge allows it to happen. And any sort of repair, the idea is that if the judge in the case allows it to happen, if the judge allows the proceedings to go on in this way, if the judge denies the defense's motion, and they've made plenty of motions with regard to telling them what the charges are against them, giving them witness lists and that sort of thing, that the legal system is designed that we repair that on the back end. And normally that will suffice. They would suggest to you that if there's any errors being made within the criminal trial, that those errors will be corrected on appeal. Well, that is only good if you believe that the criminal trial is actually going on to achieve A, justice, or B, some sort of outcome from a criminal standpoint. That's not the design of this trial. The design of the trial is to use the criminal courts to affect a political outcome. And that doesn't work on the same time frame as the criminal standard. I hope that makes sense. But I'll ask Jay St. Clair that question. Now, let me give you a little signposting as to where we're going. In the 2 o'clock hour, we are honored to be joined by Scott Southworth. We're going to have a little fun on a First Amendment Freestyle Friday today. We're going to get away from some of the news of the day. The cicadas are out and about, and Scott Southworth is coming in with a buddy of his. Have you seen this cicada song? It's pretty good.
No, I have not.
They're going to perform it live in studio today. Scott and team, Scott and Les. I don't know what band. I don't know what they call themselves. But
would this be in the same genre as like Murder Hornet?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know that I remember the Murder Hornet song.
Murder Hornet. You don't remember me?
Oh, yeah, that was a great one.
Yeah.
Do that again?
Murder Hornet.
I'm going to get somebody to put that on a hotkey somewhere. Murder Hornet. The cicada song coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. That means that we have to shift around Friday Mac Attack. If you're joining us in the 2 o'clock hour on Fridays, you know that we do this thing with Mac Morey, our industrious, rambunctious newsman, where he picks a subject and we draft off of that subject, and we call it Friday Mac Attack. Heavy dose of cougar chow. Normally happening at 2:05 on Friday afternoons. We have to readjust because Scott's coming in at 2 o'clock. So we still have Friday at 1. Friday Mac Attack's happening at 12:35 in about 10 minutes. So if you are not normally available in the 2 o'clock hour, if you are only listening during your lunchtime hour, as an example, and you've never heard Friday Mac Attack, might I suggest that you're in for a treat. Did you hear what we're drafting today, Bell?
I did. I like it.
I do too. We are drafting sidekicks. So what we do, we pick a subject, and then the three of us draft the subject that is selected. It could be breakfast cereal. It could be greatest superheroes of all time. It could be greatest automobiles of all time. It could be, any number of things. Today's subject, the greatest sidekicks of all time.
From any genre of entertainment.
From any genre of entertainment. And I absolutely love the topic, and we'll get into it coming up at 12:35. Your calls, your thoughts, and an additional commentary on the week that Donald Trump has had versus the week that Joe Biden has had. That is on the way next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Normally, when I talk to you about Nashville Safe House, I talk to you obviously about safes because it's what they do. They do safes, they do vault doors, they do tornado shelters. More on that in a moment. And that's about it. Corporate safes, safes of any style and shape or size, whether it's a jewelry safe or a gun safe, they have them for you. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the tornado shelters that they offer. You know, they have tornado shelters right there in their showroom, so you can look at what we're talking about. And with the weather that happened the other night, it's a timely thing that maybe you're thinking about whether or not you have an action plan that really works. There are ways to get this done, less expensive than perhaps you think. You don't have to do a lot of digging. You don't have to do, configuring of your entire home to design a space that's going to protect you in the unlikely event that you experience a tornado. But you can find options for you and your family that are of an affordable sort. So go find out from Mark at Nashville Safe House what he has and what he can do for you. These are pretty incredible designs that are designed to withstand the type of activity that we saw the other night. They're located at 4th Avenue South. Go by, see Mark and his team. He'd love to walk you through the process of getting one of these shelters installed for you and your family in your home. It's NashvilleSafeHouse.com. That's NashvilleSafeHouse.com or 4th Avenue South in Nashville. All right, Super Talk 99.7 WTN Friday Mac Attack coming up in just a moment. Guy's in Franklin with a thought on politics in the state of Tennessee. What's up, Guy?
Hey, Matt. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well.
I had a great morning at the Tennessee State Capitol. My daughter goes to Poplar Grove Elementary in Franklin, and I got there a little early, and I was able to walk around and just see where all the antics went on and walk the halls and just looking at the butts of all the great men that founded this nation and this great state, the 16th state. I felt an immense amount of shame about myself, just knowing how they would feel about the status of the country, and just as you were going on earlier about what they were doing to President Trump and just persecuting him for what he stands for, and he stands for us. I felt an immense amount of shame there. But Senator Jack Johnson was there, and he spoke at length to the fourth graders. And let me tell you something about that man. The first thing that he said to those fourth graders was, "Hello, my name is Senator Jack Johnson, and I work for you." And he said that to a group of fourth graders. And that's some humility there that I haven't seen before, that I think we need a lot more of in politics. And it was a great experience that they had. They got to sit in the seats in the House of Representatives, and they got to use the microphones, and it was really cool. And I'm going to end on this regarding the tornadoes yesterday. Actually, no, I'm sorry, Matt. I'm sorry. Dude, they brought a lobbyist up after Jack Johnson to speak. Mm-hmm. And I recorded all 8 minutes of it. And I would love to send it to you, because I would love I wish you could have seen the look on my face. You ever seen John C. Reilly, that meme where just like that confused look?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
how I was sitting there for about the 8 minutes, where she was just word vomiting about how she wants to be friends with everybody and how she is friends to help get bills passed for companies that she works for. And expressing
I would love to see this, please.
Oh gosh. And I missed about the first 30 seconds, but as soon as I heard her say one thing, I pulled my phone out and recorded all 8 minutes of it, and it was incredible. I'm going to send it to you. But regarding the tornadoes yesterday in Columbia, I frequent a landscaper's disco. It's Dickerson's Landscaper and Depot in Franklin. One of the girls that worked there, her name is, I won't say her name over there, but her mother was the lone fatality yesterday. And she is a wonderful lady. I speak with her often and frequently. Every time I go in there, and she's the friendliest person around. And I know that I'm sure that there's going to be a GoFundMe. And as soon as I get that information, and Matt, I would love to pass that on to you if I may.
Please do. Please do. We have, I think we're talking about the same person. Thank you, Guy, for the call. We had a call yesterday who a gentleman indicated that it was his aunt that passed away. So I think that's probably the same person out of Columbia. We want to do what we can to help that person, and we will do that. As the weekend moves through and next week, we get to next week, we'll figure out a way to help those folks out. It's 12:34, Super Talk 99.7 WTN, a very special lunchtime edition of Friday Mac Attack coming up next. Hey, folks, it's Matt Murphy, and I would love to tell you about my friends at U.S. Pest. They've done such a great job informing us on the cicada season that it is upon us. Only happens every 13 or 17 years, depending on the brood. But J.K., Erica, and the rest of the team over at U.S. Pest are on top of this. They're on top of getting rid of those creepy crawlies and pests that want it. You know, pests are just like us, except they're bugs. Well, I mean, they want inside your house, too. They want the nice air-conditioned air. They want the food that you drop on the floor. And it is your job, well, it's really the job of U.S. Pest, to keep those creepy crawlies and nasties out of your home. I'm talking about spiders and ticks and fleas and roaches and those little silver bug things and the centipedes and all of the rest of it. Get out. Thank you, U.S. Pest, for helping us get them out of there. Also, thank you for being great patriots. We love the way that you run your business. J.K. and Erica are great Americans, and I love sending business to them for that reason alone. But I wouldn't do it if they weren't the best at what they do, and they are. USPest.com. That's USPest.com for all of your pest control needs, or 590-1260. 615-590-1260. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only U.S. Pest. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Oh, look, Karen's on the line, and it says that Karen wants to talk about fat chicks. What? Belle, what?
That's what she said.
I'm gonna choose to believe that Karen raises chickens, fowl, and she's had a bumper crop of.
Yeah, that's it.
I'll bust out the Queen song for the bumper woman.
All right. Well, Karen, hang in there. We'll get to you momentarily because you hear the laughter, you hear the voice of the one and only Mac Morey. Normally, this happens in the 2 o'clock hour on Fridays. We had to do a little bit of shifting around, but this is an absolute treat for those of you during the Libertarian Lunchtime Hour. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Friday Mac Attack.
That's right.
Little early today, Friday Mac Attack getting underway. We have a special guest in the 2 o'clock hour. So Mac Morey was generous enough with his time. Thank you, Mr. Morey.
Of course. I'm glad to do it.
Appreciate you. How you
got to
doing?
get it in. I'm doing great.
Oh, it's nice to see that the KC Chiefs crap is back in
It's
rotation.
a Red Friday, you know.
Oh, is that what we
That's
call
what
it?
we call it, yeah.
Is that what we call it, Red Friday?
Over at the Kingdom, yeah.
Uh-huh. Hey, how about the Titans are now being said to have the greatest wide receiver squad in the AFC?
It's
what?
pretty good.
No, they've improved it.
No, they really have.
If the new coach's plan is to throw the ball,
Yeah, yesterday, I don't know if it was Brian Callen, but one of the coaches says we're throwing on first down. And that's just got to be
for the Titans.
For Titans fans, thank God.
Oh, what? We don't have to run Derrick Henry up the middle?
On first and second down?
I thought we did. All right, what are we drafting today, Mr. Morey?
I like this one. This one's exciting. At first, I was like, okay, maybe we do sidekicks with superheroes. And I was like, it's a little too niche. And Bell's going to nerd out for the whole segment. And you and I are going to pick
Captain
Robin.
America, the first of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So I thought, you know what? Let's extrapolate this to sidekicks overall. Movies, TV shows, talk shows, superheroes, whatever. The best sidekicks ever.
The greatest sidekicks of all time. The way that we do this is like a traditional draft. If someone drafts a sidekick, nobody else can have him. And that means we have to pick a draft order. And look what I have in my hands. We've decided. We used to do numbers. I don't know that I said this last time when we got the new selection method out. But Bell has a tell, and I could tell what his number was.
I don't know if you said this on the air, but you did say it to me.
And so I didn't tell him because I knew he would do that. I knew he would do that. I knew he would do
Bell's
that.
betrayed.
But my when you play poker, you learn. Yeah,
he says you're number one.
Is that the tell?
That's the tell. That's exactly. Yes, I'm number one. Thank you, Bell. No, we're not doing it that way anymore, Bell. We're doing it this way. So I now have written out three little Post-it notes with numbers on them. Bell, would you like to select your Post-it note?
I'll take the one to your right, the far right.
This one right
correct.
Here? Okay. There's Bell's Post-it. You want to open that for
I'll
Bell?
open this for Bell. We'll see what Bell's picking. Bell, I'm sorry, sir. You are the third pick in the draft.
Number 3 pick. There you go.
Can't be more fair than that.
Oh, 1 and 2. I'll go with your right as well. You're right. Let's see what I got. Oh, come on. That's 2 weeks in a row.
Oh, is that me number one?
That's you number one, Murphy.
Looky there. Imagine that. I'm the one that wrote the Post-it notes. And actually, it would be a really good plan of mine to just put 2 or 3 on all of them.
And let us always pick first.
The only problem is if both of you pick the 3 that I was like, I don't know what happened.
That's crazy.
All right, for my first selection in the 2024 Friday Mac Attack Sidekick Draft, let's not overthink this. I'm going Ed McMahon with the Johnny Carson Show, the ultimate talk show sidekick. And I don't think there's any question about that. Don't bring me this Andy Richter nonsense. Don't bring me anything. Ed McMahon is the quintessential late night talk show sidekick, and he is my number one selection. Thoughts?
Love it.
Yeah. Bell?
Wouldn't have been a draft pick for me just because I don't know enough about
Different
it.
era.
Yeah, different era.
No, it's a pretty strong pick. Yeah.
My favorite, and I remember more about what Phil Hartman did. I don't know if you remember this either, but Saturday Night Live, Dana Carvey and Phil Hartman did Johnny Carson, and Dana Carvey was Johnny Carson, and Phil Hartman was Ed McMahon. Uh-huh. And there's a line, just one particular episode where, Dana Carvey, he's doing Johnny Carson, and he makes he's talking about something, and Ed McMahon goes, yes, dated reference lost on younger viewers. Yes, sir.
That's good.
And it was actually true.
And it was absolutely, that's what Johnny was doing toward the end of his career. All right, your number one. You brought a list?
I said I'm up in my draft prep. I'm tired of this. You got your list over here. You got your numbers.
You got to do what you got to do. All right.
It doesn't mean I have them all written down. I don't have them ordered. I've got 5 that I'm really in between. I've got 10 or 15 written down. I'm gonna go.
I'll give you $1,000 to go Tinkerbell.
Oh, gosh, that's not on my list. Well, that's a good one. Dang it.
Why would you pay him to do what he already does?
Forever young. Just a boy. All right, let's go. One of my favorite shows, I think I drafted this in when we had our show draft, our sitcom draft. I'll go with Dwight Schrute from The Office.
Dwight Schrute from The Office.
Assistant to the regional manager.
Yeah, assistant to
the regional
manager. A pretty good selection. Would you put The Office in the top 3 or 4 in terms of all-time sitcoms?
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can watch it every day.
I think it's certainly in the top 10.
Yeah, I'd put it in top 10. I wouldn't put it in top 5.
That's fair.
I liked of that era. I liked Parks and Rec more than I liked
Parks
The
and Rec
Office.
is so
I'm a
good.
huge Aubrey Plaza fan, too. So.
Yeah, that's good. All right, number 3 selection there, Bel K. What do you got? Hey, give us the selection
Oh,
is
yes.
in. Yeah, I'd like to hear that. For those listening during the lunchtime hour, that maybe a lot of times you'll hear this when the pick is in.
Dun, dun, dun.
And for the Bel K's, the first selection in the 2024 Friday Mac Attack Sidekick Draft is...
This one was actually extremely difficult for me. Probably the most difficult time I've had in any draft we've done.
Okay.
But
Do you have things written down as well?
yes,
Wow, we're taking this one seriously today.
We're in prime time,
there were
baby. Prime time.
there were 3 possibilities, and it was difficult for me to pick my number 1 choice, but I got to go with Mr. Spock.
It's a great one.
Mr. Spock, or we also call him... Dr. Spock is the baby guy. Never mind. I'll shut up now. I'll shut up now.
Dr. Schrodinger.
Stupid.
But yeah,
Spock is good.
Spock.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Spock is good. You like the... you a fan of the movies?
Yes.
I'll tell you, Wrath of Khan holds up. Wrath of Khan holds up. You
And
seen
it's
Wrath of Khan?
largely because of how good Ricardo was in it.
Well, because everything that we knew him, at least everything that I knew him for, was Fantasy Island
Yeah.
and Mr. Rourke and those stupid commercials with the fine Corinthian leather.
Yeah.
And then he
Yeah,
plays
yeah.
this guy who is just intent on
Murder.
destroying
Yeah.
Captain Kirk. This is City Alpha 5. Anyway, sorry. That's a
I've
good
only
one.
seen the one that came out like 10 years ago. Yeah.
You know,
Sorry.
sometimes I
Sorry.
like to forget that you're so young.
Sorry.
And then sometimes you remind me. My number 2 selection, it's not that hard, guys. I mean, I know that I'll be accused of being old school or just old, and that's fine. But I consider him to be, I would tell you that he is in my top 3 or 4 in the best comedic performances on television of all time. And he's obviously going to be the greatest sidekick of all time on any sitcom, and that's going to be Barney Fife with the Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah. That was coming for you.
the bud.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yep. There you
There
go.
it is.
There you have it. My number 2 selection.
Bud nipping.
Mr. Maury. Bud Nippin. You know what
Bud
those kids' name? Bud Nippin.
You read any book on child rearing, they'll tell you they're all in favor of bud nipping.
You're real funny. You know that? You're like a rubber crutch.
All right. I'm going to go for those born after 1970. This is more your pick. So here we go.
I was born in 1973,
I know.
you jerk.
I'm just kidding. I'm going to go. This is the true meaning of sidekick. This guy won't leave your side. He even if he's incessant, he's annoying, but he's there. And a great performance
Bel K.
from
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Eddie Murphy as Donkey was pretty good. Let's make some waffles.
Donkey.
So I'm going to go Donkey.
Okay.
Fair enough.
That's good. I mean, look,
good
it's your
one.
draft. That's fine. I'll go with that. Donkey. Look at there. Look. Let's see. What was your first one? Oh,
Dwight Schrute.
Dwight Schrute and Donkey. All right, Bell.
Well, to speed this along, I have all 3 of my picks. I'm going to go with what could have been a number 1 pick, but Chewbacca.
Boy, I had that on my list. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Solid.
It's good.
One of the, I want to say one of the few creatures in almost every Star Wars
Yeah, that's
movie.
probably true.
I don't think he was in Rogue One, but other than that,
He wasn't in Rogue One, and he was not in Phantom Menace.
was he not?
No.
But
Yeah.
good selection. Great sidekick. We never understood what he was saying. Everybody else did, though.
Yeah,
Which
everyone was like, yeah,
which
exactly.
always bothered me.
Everyone speaks Chewbacca.
Except for us. So I had Chewbacca on my list. I'll tell you some of the other items that I have, some honorable mentions after McMorry goes. But my number 3 selection, look, there's a reason when you go to a bar that you talk about your wing man. There's a reason that we speak in these terms. And that reason
Oh, well, I know where you're going.
is Goose from Top Gun.
Nice.
The wingman of Maverick. Great balls of fire. Maverick flames out, kills the guy holding him. Goose in the water, whatever. Goose from Top Gun is my number.
It's a great pick.
Thank you.
It's a great pick.
If he's so great, why is he dead?
Well, I mean, he did his job. Stupid Maverick. He hit the canopy. It's not his fault.
This sidekick was by the main character's side at all times through thick and thin, helping him out, going on adventures together, leaving his home, leaving his friends. Give me Sam from Lord of the Rings.
It's
a great pick.
It's trash.
It's a great pick.
It's horrible.
And it's the best trilogy of all time, so it's a great pick.
The only reason that we should be allowing you to get away with that garbage of a pick is this is your segment.
Ron Weasley, would you like that better? That was my next one.
Yeah, I actually would have liked that a lot
close.
better.
It was close.
So I was having trouble with some of these. So
should we let...
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, my bad. I forgot that you... I assume you're going to pick yourself. I'm assuming. No?
No, why would I do that?
That's true. You don't like to lie.
The one that should have been... The one that should have been my number one pick, but I figured you guys wouldn't take it, but the most iconic sidekick of all time ever.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Dr. Watson?
No.
Oh, okay.
Robin.
Yep.
From Batman and Robin.
Nice.
Didn't have a lot for Robin. I didn't have a lot for Robin in the television show.
We don't need to turn this into bashing on the gay community, okay? So let's just accept Robin as my pick and move on.
I mean, what's Robin adding to the party? Batman was, I think he works better as a solitary figure.
Diversity.
I almost chose a Robin as well. Robin Quivers.
Oh, that would have been actually good.
I was on my dude over 40 years next to that psycho. She does a good job. She does a good job.
That's a good one. Helps him get away with a lot of stuff that he otherwise would not be able to get away with. I had trouble with the ensembles because, like the you mentioned, Ron Weasley. Well, why wouldn't Hermione Granger be the? Did I say that right, Granger? I think
Hermione Granger.
She's a chick.
Like I understand many of you are selecting George Costanza, but it's an ensemble though. I mean, Costanza obviously is the sidekick to Jerry, but I feel like without the other two, it gets diminished and it gets a little squirrely. So I didn't go there. I also had I did have Dr. Watson. You know who Dr. Watson is? It's okay if you don't.
Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah.
Okay, there.
Yeah.
Oh, good for
Absolutely.
you.
But Benedict Cumberbatch's show was pretty good.
Yeah, my runners up were Brian Griffin from Family Guy.
Oh,
and
good one.
Number 2 from Austin Powers.
Haven't seen Austin Powers.
Oh,
I shouldn't have admitted that, but I did. I know.
It's okay.
This kid's got to go. I'm done with him.
Ed Norton from The Honeymooners is a great sidekick.
Did you think about there's one that I thought you might pick that you did not? Walter from Big Lebowski. Is that an ensemble thing, or is that not enough of a sidekick?
I say I wouldn't consider Walter Walter is almost a foil.
Yeah.
For the
fair.
dude. I mean, I don't feel like the dude was hanging out with Walter anywhere other than the bowling alley.
Donnie, you're out of your element.
You don't bleep a man in the bleep.
All right, we got to go.
You don't mess with the Jesus. It's 12:54, Super Talk 99. That's how we do Friday Mac Attack for those of you that have never heard. It is what it is. We'll be back in a moment. When it comes to large home repairs, you need someone that you can trust, particularly when it comes to the foundation of your home and waterproofing of your home. Well, I'm happy to announce that USS is here for all of us in Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky, and they do fabulous work. For the last 30 years, they've been providing superior service to over 25,000 satisfied residential customers. You don't get that many satisfied residential customers without doing something right. You don't last for 30 plus years without doing something right. And right now, a lot of us are thinking about water issues resulting from the flooding that we had a couple of days ago. Well, the company that you've trusted in your crawl space for 30 years is now offering mold treatment, perfectly timed with the humidity that we've had and a lot of the musty and moldy smells that perhaps you are smelling coming from your basement because of all of the rain that we've had over the last several days. You might have mold in your crawl space. Mold spores travel up into the home and into the air that you breathe. Turn your crawl space into a healthy space with United Structural Systems complete microbial growth treatment. It's not easy to say, but it's easy to understand. You're going
microbial.
I said it right. I said microbial. Didn't I say microbial? What did I say?
Microbial.
I said microbial. Microbial. Well, one way or the other, USSTN.com. I can spell that one right. USSTN.com. They know what they're doing. They guarantee their best with USS. Mold and fungal growth is no good in your home. And if you've noticed a moldy or musty smell due to the rain, you need to call the team at USS. 615-488-7855, 488-7855, or USSTN.com, USSTN.com. Coming up in just a few moments, I will ask our man Jay St. Clair the simple question: how is it that in a criminal trial, a defendant can sit for 4 weeks and not understand or be told the actual charges that would put together the crime and the felony that he's being accused of? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. We'll find out from Jay if it makes sense to him. It is 1:05, and a good afternoon to you as we continue on the Matt Murphy Show. We had Friday Mac Attack a little early, and I'm thankful to Mac Morey for sticking around to do that. Thankful to you for listening to the first hour of the show, and we've got 2 big hours to go. In the 2 o'clock hour, we've got a brand new song to debut on the Matt Murphy Show for you from Scott Southworth. You want to be a part of that. I promise you, you'll have a lot of fun with it. It has to do with cicadas. We're also going to trade out cicada recipes with Scott and his partner coming up in the 2 o'clock hour on the Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A lot of you responding to our Friday Mac Attack draft. We drafted sidekicks, greatest sidekicks of all time. I feel good. Who was your? You had Chewbacca, you had Spock,
and Robin.
Man, that's a good draft. I had Ed McMahon, Barney Fife, and Goose from Top Gun. I feel like I had a good draft, too. I feel like we destroyed Mac Morey today. And maybe that's a generational thing.
I think it was generational. I definitely do.
I mean, Dwight Schrute isn't bad, but once again, that's more of an ensemble. And I understand we're talking about his relationship with Michael Scott, but one way or the other. So let's get back into the news of the day. All week long, we've been observing the testimony in the Donald Trump trial in New York City. We've watched as every other case surrounding Donald Trump has just slowly dissolved into nothingness. And we'll talk with Jay St. Clair about all of these things. Plus, Jay will answer any and all of your legal questions. All you have to do is get them in on the membersnutrition.com super text line, 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. You give the questions, and Jay will give the answers. It's time for Friday. A little new twist on there. I like that. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together. It is time for Friday with our man Jay St. Clair. He's on the line, Tennessee native, a great friend of mine, a life consultant, a legal correspondent, and all-around good guy. Hello, Mr. St. Clair. May I ask you a question, sir?
Hey, buddy, you can ask me anything you want to.
How are you doing?
You know, man, if I were any better, I'd be Kyle Larson. I would have just won the NASCAR race by the closest margin of victory ever in the history of the world. Later this month, I would be driving in the Indianapolis 500. And I saw this week, man, he took his family over to Paris to go see that girl singer.
That would be Taylor Swift, I assume.
I can't remember her name. She was the one that's sweet on that football player. So,
Jay, by the way, for those, hold on a second. For those who don't know, Jay St. Clair is smarter than anyone I've ever met in my life about certain subjects. But when the cliff comes, it is a long drop. When it comes, is that fair, Jay?
I checked out. I stopped paying attention to popular culture, Bill. I can tell you the almost exact day. I can give you the month and year. It was September 1980. I know virtually nothing about popular culture after September 1980.
Is that singer lady that's dating that football fella?
Girl singer.
That's right, girl singer that's dating that football fella. What was it? You showed me a video of the golf course one time of the Eagles. Wasn't it the Eagles?
No, it was absolutely right. It was a live performance of the Eagles. They called out the person most responsible for forming the band, the Eagles. I had no idea about any of this. And Glenn Fry, I think it was introduced her. And he said, this is the person responsible for us being a band. And she's our favorite girl singer. Her name is Linda Ronstadt.
See, did he say girl singer or lady singer? Did he say girl singer?
I think it's girl singer.
Yeah, you might be right. But yeah, but they specifically, and we talked about this because back then, that's the way they identified female singers. They weren't just singers; they were girl singers.
That's right. Well, like lady lawyers is the phrase. Well, no, she's not a lawyer; she's a lady lawyer. It's a little bit derogatory.
Yeah, right. Right.
So she's not a singer. She's not a full-fledged grown-up singer.
Right. She's a girl singer.
Right. That's what it meant.
And it makes it even funnier that they're talking about one of the greatest vocalists in the modern era in Linda Ronstadt.
I didn't realize this until we got to look at it. She was the first mega star female solo singer. Right? I mean, before Celine Dion or Cher or Beyonce or all these people, it was Linda Ronstadt who blazed that trail. I did not know that.
Jay, if I asked you the question, before we get into some of these legal matters involving Trump and these cases, if I asked you the question, and I'm going to take Barney Fife off the board.
Because he would have. I heard what y'all were talking about. He absolutely would have been my first one.
Well, I picked him second. I picked Ed McMahon first, and Barney Fife second. Anybody else come to mind? Greatest sidekicks of all time?
No, y'all poison. Well, I wouldn't say poison well, but I can't get out of my mind the ones y'all picked, which are just great. I love Spock, and Robin's great. Actually, I do have one. Cato. Cato would absolutely be in the top 3.
Oh, is that Inspector Clouseau?
No,
the Green Hornet.
The Green Hornet. Sorry, I get it confused, but it's the same guy, right?
You make me feel shame.
Do you know who played Cato?
It was Bruce Lee.
Bruce
Lee. It's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Bruce Lee. Yeah, no, he's absolutely in the top 5.
Well, Jay, if you're not a sidekick, you're my best friend, and you're a great legal mind, and I'm curious what you think about the goings-on of the last week. And I understand that there's very little law happening in New York City. Trust me. I feel like I know you well enough to know that there's very little legal that's going on. But a question was asked of me, and I genuinely don't know the answer. But I've been repeating, and I've tried to find this. I've been repeating this message to the listening audience that it is fascinating to me that we are 4 weeks into this trial and Alvin Bragg has yet to connect the dots as to how he can charge Trump in the way that he has, because he's yet to reveal in court what would connect these payments that are misdemeanors that have passed the statute of limitation to some cover-up of another criminal act. And I don't understand how the judge can allow this to go on without telling the defense fully what he's being charged with. Am I missing something?
No, I figured I'd get this question, Matt, and so I've been giving it a lot of thought. Here's my view from 50,000 feet. I am absolutely embarrassed for the American legal system as to what's happening in this trial, Matt. I love my country. I love the law. I love my profession. I'm just personally embarrassed that this is happening the way it is, man. And I get it. We're not perfect. No, nobody is. I was thinking about analogies. There's some fictional. To Kill a Mockingbird, the trial that happened in that book and later movie was a charade. But then, there's some real life cases. The Scottsboro boys happened, and it was a charade. It was a mockery of justice, and this is a mockery of justice, man. And as a proud member of the legal bar, I'm personally embarrassed that something like this could happen. It's that bad.
I don't believe that any of this. Let me say it this way or ask it this way. It's hard for me to believe that even if he's biased, that even if he hates Donald Trump as much as he seems to, that the judge in this case doesn't know that this is being set up to be absolutely destroyed on appeal, even if he's convicted.
Right. No, I absolutely agree with that. And the only response I can make to that is he doesn't care, and which is a shame. Our friend Richard, yes, Richard, I called you Richard.
That didn't happen very often.
He's been wearing me out about that. He was both a practicing prosecutor for many years and now an appellate judge. And most judges, not all, I would say 90% of the judges that I practice in front of care very much about not getting appealed. But there's about 10% that don't. And one of them here was a federal judge. He's passed on, so I got to name him. It was Judge Acker. Bill Acker, and he had a reputation for getting reversed a lot. And when you file cases, the judge's initials get put on the case. And one of the judges went out to the parking lot to show off a new car, and on the license plate it was AR. Those were the initials for Judge Acker. And so he had this very, very prominent senior. It was Judge Lynn, Richard, who's who it was. And he was showing Judge Lynn this car, and he looked at it and said, "Well, where's that license plate?" They said, "Well, it's just generated randomly." He said, "I bet that car drives real good in reverse." So there's some judges that just don't care, particularly elected judges, and I believe this judge is elected. And, so they play to the mob, man. They just play to the mob. And, To Kill a Mockingbird, right? I mean, it's a sham trial. Everything about this is a sham, and it's embarrassing.
But do you have I hate to exclude this one because it's probably your answer, so I won't. Do you have a favorite courtroom movie?
I would say probably To Kill a Mockingbird. I would say that is my favorite fictional book, To Kill a Mockingbird. And no small reason it's set in Alabama. You know who Justice Scalia's favorite courtroom movie was?
Well, this is the one I was going to exclude, but yes, I do. Tell everybody.
Well, I just love everything about this. Justice Scalia's favorite lawyer movie.
A judge on the United States Supreme Court.
Well, Anton Scalia, not just a justice, one of the brightest, smartest justices of the 20th century. And his favorite lawyer movie was My Cousin Vinny.
Well, and I've read about this. The the law in that film is accurate, right? The procedure and everything else about it, that they do it the right way.
No, it's very well done. And particularly the positive traction, rear end in that Pontiac.
What'd you say? A ute? What's a ute?
I'll say this, man. They followed the law more closely in My Cousin Benny than they're doing in this Trump trial.
So let's get back to the Trump trial in New York in a second. I want to ask you about these others. So it is the judge in the Mar-a-Lago trial, which the Mar-a-Lago trial always concerned me more than any other, although it's probably more favorable for Trump regarding where it's set in Florida. But they seem to have, although now there's some doubt about what they have and what they didn't have, they seem to have some evidence that Trump did in some way violate the law with regard to classified records or whatnot. Whether he knew what he was doing or not was up for debate. But now there's a question as to whether or not they sullied that entire well because they messed around with this evidence that they're being accused. Jack Smith is being accused of staging documents in that case, which has caused the judge to say, we're putting this thing on indefinite hold. Right. Now legal analysts are telling me, and I want to know your opinion, Jay, that there's no way that any of this happens before the November elections. Yeah. And I would suggest, and I'm curious, if it doesn't happen before the election, it doesn't happen at all, right?
Doesn't matter. Yeah, no, at that point, it doesn't matter. It won't happen after the election. Well, I don't know. I guess if he loses, they might. But, my favorite president of the 20th century, Ronald Reagan, got the nickname the Teflon president. Just nothing would stick on him, and they didn't attack him as viciously as they have Trump, but he was a close second. Well, Trump, I don't know what's better than Teflon, but he's wearing it. It's just amazing that all this stuff they throw at him, and somehow he's the Harry Houdini. He just wiggles out of it. And so you're right. I think there is next to a zero chance that the Florida case will go before the election. And it's sort of looking that the way with the D.C. case. That's the one where the immunity issue's in front of the Supreme Court. And that's slowing everything down there. So I think it's unlikely that either one of the federal cases will be tried before the election, which leaves, guess what? Georgia.
Well, and now didn't I think the appellate court there decided to take up
They did.
So that's going to stymie that case for a good amount of time.
I think that's exactly right. So that means the other three criminal cases in my judgment, will not go to trial before the election.
And so we are left with the goofiest of the four, in my opinion.
Yes, very well. So that's the correct legal term.
Well, let's talk about the goofiness of this thing and whether or not you have any take on the activities that happened over the past week. I'm very curious what Jay has to say about that. So the Jack Smith case in Mar-a-Lago looks unlikely to happen before November, therefore unlikely to happen at all. January 6th, with the Supreme Court holding on that, unlikely to happen before November, in my opinion, unlikely to happen at all. Fannie Willis, that appeal was taken up by the Georgia folks, unlikely to happen before the November elections, therefore unlikely to happen at all. And so we're left with this last case, and whether or not that goes in, it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. It's certainly not going anywhere from an appellate standpoint. Really depends on what type of jury they have seated in front of them. You can also ask any and all of your questions with regard to Jay's legal expertise. Get those questions in here at 615-737-9986. That's 615-737-WWTN. I was set to go to a break, but I looked up and there's no Bell K. So I guess I'm going to go back to Jay. Jay, I was going to break. I was setting all that up to go to a brief commercial advertisement timeout, but I looked up and my wingman, my sidekick, has left me. Oh, look, he's decided to come back. That's nice. That's nice. Okay, Jay, I'm going to put you back on hold, and now I will.
I'm sorry, I had to tinkle so bad.
Really, we don't really need to know. It's to 122 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Man, oh man, we're still getting more and more sidekicks coming in on the super text line, Bell. I just got one in that I had to mention to Jay St. Clair. I know he will have an appreciation for this. I believe that this falls in his window of popular culture understanding. One of the suggestions that we just got, Jay, was Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane from... Now that is a fine sidekick to Boss Hogg.
Yeah, but I've been thinking about it a little bit. I'll tell you another good one. Doc Holliday.
Doc Holliday's a good one. That's right.
From one of your favorite. You've really turned me on to that movie. I've watched it a couple of times. It's really good.
Oh, Tombstone is just fabulous. I'm your Huckleberry.
I would throw Roscoe right out the window and say that we need to go with Daisy Duke instead.
Well, or Enos. You know, someone reminded me, Enos ought to be in the mix because he got Daisy. By the time the Dukes of Hazzard was over, Enos hooked up with Daisy Duke. How about that? There's hope for everybody, I guess. Jay, so the question then, and I don't know that you fully fleshed it out. So how is it in the state of New York in a court that we don't fully understand the nature of the charges against Donald Trump and how this rises to the level of a felony? And how is it that the court can withhold telling, or the prosecution, I should say, can withhold explaining how they're connecting it? Is it just the ability of the prosecution to wait on that and spring it on the defense when the time comes, or what?
No, it's not the prosecution, it's the judge.
Okay.
This case shows just how much power a trial judge has, man. And sure, you can appeal it, and fix it on appeal. But when you're in trial, the judge is in charge. I mean, he is fully in charge of everything that happens. And you could try to appeal something in the middle of a trial, but they're never going to take it. Because they'll say, well, let's just wait and see how the trial ends. You might win.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to decide it. So the judge he's a dictator, man. And I'll tell you a war story. We had a judge here, a federal judge, and he would not tell you, as you're striking the jury, man, picking the jury, he would not tell you how many jurors you're going to have in your case.
What?
He wouldn't do it. No, because he was going to gerrymander the jury. He's going to get the jury to his liking. So I finally figured out what he was doing. And I would make a point every time I'm asking on the record, Your Honor, how many jurors are we going to have? He just didn't answer. He didn't tell me I'm not. He didn't say I'm not, because he knew all this. The court reporter was taking it all down. He just ignored the question. Well, you know what my remedy was for that? Nothing. There's nothing you can do. You just got to take your whipping.
So was my instinct, and I guess at a lot of these things, I guess.
Yeah, I need to.
But was my instinct correct that the idea is that the legal system's remedy comes on the back end for all of this?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
No, for now, the trial judge is the dictator. He can run his courtroom any way he wants to. And then if you get an unfair result, then, your remedy is to appeal it. But, you better hope you have that. One of my favorite expressions from a Western was in Silverado. And this guy got arrested. He's about to go to trial. And he looks at the sheriff and says, well, what's going to happen? He says, son, we're going to give you a fair trial followed by a first-class hanging.
Well, it's what's happening, right? And,
That's it.
And if there's no better example than the Stormy Daniels testimony, which has nothing to do with the merit or the concepts laid out in the case. Her salacious details about the night in question have zero to do with what he's accused of, the wrongdoing he's accused of, right?
You're exactly right. 100% right. None of that, she should not have been allowed as a witness. None of that was relevant to anything that's going on in this case. None of it. It was an embarrassment. I was embarrassed to be a member of the American legal system.
Wow. Well, let's get to some questions. A lot of people have them, and Jay has answers for you. My good friend Jay St. Clair likes to say often wrong, but never in doubt. We'll find out in just a moment. It's 1:31 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Savory Spice has 2 locations to serve you. If you are interested in grilling, you need to get to Savory Spice. I mean, it's grilling season, right? We're just getting underway with it. So you're out and about, you're getting the grill nice and cleaned out, whether it's the flat top or the charcoal or the gas. You've got options at Savory Spice. I mean, grilling options. I'm talking about seasoning for meats to put on the grill, other items for grilling, and then they have the Spice and Easy sets. Man, these are great. For those of you who are on a time crunch and you're not looking to do anything complex that's going to take hours in the kitchen, if you want a 30-minute meal that is absolutely delicious, go to Savory Spice, either at L&L Market in Nashville, just off of Charlotte Pike, or off the square in Franklin, and ask them about their Spice and Easy mixes. I mean, they've got taco soup. They've got other items that is just delicious. You'll love it. And it tells you exactly what you need to buy right there on the bag. It has all of the spices included right there on the bag. They give you cooking instructions. I mean, it truly is as easy as that. And they tell you exactly how long it's going to take you. Spice and Easy, available at Savory Spice. Savory Spice, available in Franklin or on Charlotte Pike in Nashville. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Savory Spice. 136, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, I don't know a lot about much. I know a little about a lot, but I do know a lot about the movie Tombstone. By the way, it's the Matt Murphy Show. Jay St. Clair is with us, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And Josephus on the Members Nutrition Super Text line has challenged me on a point regarding the movie Tombstone. Because we brought up Tombstone and you brought up Doc Holliday, Bell, and I said, I'm your Huckleberry. And Josephus says, Matt, it's not Huckleberry, it's Hucklebearer. No, it is not. And I will point to you 3 pieces of evidence to contradict you.
That is an argument you should not even have tried to get into.
Oh, no. I mean, I win that argument on a couple of fronts.
That's what I'm saying is he shouldn't have even brought it up with you.
One, the script is actually online, so you can go and look it up in the script, and it says Huckleberry. Number 2, Val Kilmer actually confirmed that he said Huckleberry in an interview in 2014. And number 3, Val Kilmer wrote a memoir. Do you know what the title of that book was?
I'm Your Huckleberry?
I'm Your Huckleberry. So if he said Hucklebearer, why would he entitle his book Huckleberry?
It's called a pallberry.
Well, and by the way, I get why people think that, because a huckle was a casket handle, and people thought he was saying hucklebearer as in a pallbearer. But he was saying huckleberry was a commonly used phrase at the time, meaning I'm your guy. If you need a task done, I'm the guy to help you do the task. So anyway, with that out of the way, we got Jay St. Clair back with us and a lot of questions for Mr. St. Clair. And so let's get to them. Let's start, I guess, with, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let us start with Christina in Nashville, who I believe has a question about a contractor. Is that right? Hey, Christina, how are you?
Hey, guys. How you doing today?
Good.
Hey, so first off, on the sidekicks, I got to say you left out Hawkeye for BJ.
Hawkeye's a pretty good one. MASH. That's great. I like it. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my contractor question, Jay, I'm not sure if this is in your realm of legal expertise, but we hired a contractor to build our garage mahal, paid him the requisite 50% down that was to purchase the building supplies and get everything running. Months go by, we get a few things going, with excavation and so forth. Then it's crickets from this guy. So then eventually tells us, okay, well, why don't you go ahead and you buy the supplies to build said garage mahal, and then we'll use the money that you put down for the deposit towards the future costs, which would be for the electrical, the plumbing, and so forth. Right. We go ahead and buy all the materials. Their subcontractors come in, put it up, but everything has still been crickets from the contractor. That is via email, cell phone, text, the whole bit. We cannot get anything from him in terms of what he's actually done with any of our money in terms of an itemized listing. If any of the invoices that have been sent his way have been paid, I'm afraid that, we'll be hit with some sort of lien on anything that was sent to them but was not paid. I have no idea what recourse can be taken.
Do you have a written contract with them, Christina?
We do.
You got to sue them. You can start off with a lawyer letter, and that's probably a good idea. But I'm sad to tell you that you're probably dealing with dishonest people, and so you're just going to have to sue them. That's just the way it works.
Yeah, a lot of the people that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying, get a good look. Where are you? Are you in Davidson County?
No, I'm in Pegram in Cheatham County. I've done my research on the company. Apparently, this company used to do a lot of these steel, buildings. We are, I guess, their last one that they're doing as they're going back to doing their main construction, which is cabinetry. But they've got contracts with the government. Their license is still upheld or available until November. And I don't know if this is something that like counties can be warned against, for allowing permits for these folks or what. I mean, a lot of folks are telling us that what they probably did was, use our money, as a rob Peter to pay Paul kind of scenario.
That's right. So you could try this if you wanted to. They probably have a storefront somewhere, some office, and you
Been there, and there's no one ever there. They're always out on jobs.
Well, then you got to get a lawyer. No, yeah, then you got to get a lawyer. They have taken your money, Christina, and you're not going to get it back unless you go through the legal system. I'm sorry to tell you that, but that is just the reality. We're talking about real money here. We're talking about five-figure money, right? I mean, it's more.
Oh yeah, this is $88,677.
Whoa!
No, you got to get a lawyer.
You got to sue them.
You got to get a lawyer, Christina, and the sooner the better, because that money is probably already gone.
Oh, I am quite certain of that.
If you,
sad to say.
Christina, if you have any assistance needs in finding the right type of person, hit me up on social media, and I can kind of talk with Jay and see if we can't figure out somebody that might be able to help you out. But otherwise, let us know how everything goes, please.
Will do. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
You can find my office contact information on the internet, right? Nobody's so you can't. What is it that Ernest T. Bass did? He hermitized himself. Well, you can't hermit. I'm not a hermit, so you just shoot me an email at my office, and we'll find you the right lawyer.
Well, Christina, I'm sorry to hear that, but it is what it is.
And folks, man, don't get ahead of your contractors. I mean, I know she said that they required you to get. If anybody says they want 50% down before they do any work, walk away. Don't ever get ahead of your contractor. Ever, ever, ever.
Explain when you say get ahead of your contractor, what do you mean specifically?
Pay them more money than the work they have done.
Okay.
Don't ever do that. You always want the contractor, you want to be even, and really you want to be a little behind. You don't pay till the work's done.
So what would your advice be if somebody called up and said, well, Jay, this guy that's doing this work said he needed money for materials?
Yeah, well, then go to the bank.
Good for you.
Borrow it.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have enough money to pay for the materials that you're going to do for my job, then maybe you're not the right guy for me.
And that's right. If you can't do that, then we ain't doing business together.
Question for Jay. If the prosecution can't define the crime, how does it get brought to trial?
Well, that's the judge again, right? Mm-hmm. Man, we go back to the judge. They filed a motion to dismiss, right? I mean, they can file anything. Hey, Bell, you know what it takes to file a lawsuit?
All right, Bell's getting ready for the answer.
It takes a piece of paper and an orange crayon.
And $400 to file it. Dang, I'm glad you're paying attention. Same way with criminal, complaints. Well, they can file anything, but then you move to dismiss it. You ask the judge to throw it out of court, and they did it here, man, and our listener. And then the judge said, no, I think we'll move forward. And then so you just got to take the whipping. Now, again, the judge is the dictator. I mean, it's incredible the power the judge has in the middle of the trial. And so that's how it works. I mean, they just file it, and then you move to dismiss it and say, well, they hadn't even told me what the crime was. Well, once we convict you, who was it, Pelosi? said, well, you got to pass it to find out what's in it. And so it's a similar kind of logic, Matt, here that said, well, you got to get convicted to find out what we're convicting you for.
Well, we're getting down to where the goats can graze on it because Michael Cohen's coming up on Monday, and the prosecution indicated to the judge today that they thought they might be done by next week. So if they're going to find a crime, they've got about a week to do it, apparently. So we'll all... do you still believe that it's a slim possibility that we see an acquittal here? I mean, or a next to zero possibility?
I would say this. There's three possible outcomes, right? Conviction, acquittal, hung jury. Mm-hmm. I still continue to believe. I would still, I'm not going to put chances on conviction. I would say there is less than I would say the chances. What was the margin of victory in that Kyle Larson race was 1,000th of a second. I would say there's about that much possibility of a total acquittal, man. I mean, I just don't see that happening because it only takes one, right? I mean, just one person says, orange man bad.
Right.
I don't care about anything else, orange man bad. So I think that's the least likely outcome of the case. And then you have a hung jury, and then you have conviction. And if you put a gun to my head and said guess of those two, I'd say, well, I know I'm not going to say, because here's why, man. I'm not watching the jury. And so I have no empirical evidence from which to draw a conclusion about the likely outcome. When I'm trying a case, man, I am watching the jury like a hawk.
Right.
And I'm watching them for body language.
Right.
Particularly nods. Nods are very telling. I tried a case one time with a very pronounced nodder. And I got a lot of nods, really good nods. And it's funny, we won the case, and afterwards I went and talked to him. And he said, I know I'm a nodder. And he said, and I was trying not to do it because I could see you watching me. He said, but I couldn't help myself. And he made a really good point. I had to nod. And he's nodding in agreement. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I also tried a case once. It was a non-compete case, man, and I was actually the plaintiff. I was sued. In closing argument, one of the jurors I thought we sort of had a chance at, she was nodding no. She was shaking her head back and forth no. So I had a pretty good idea in both those cases what was going to happen. Well, here I don't have any empirical evidence, so I don't have any basis on which to base a prediction of the outcome.
Well, and
plus it's a bunch of Yankees.
Well, that's the truth. Well, and you cannot get an accurate assessment from mainstream media, sadly. I mean, I understand that I have a bias here too, and so when I'm absorbing what's coming out of the courtroom from Fox News, for example, then that's kind of confirming my already existent bias. And I recognize that, and I think recognizing that helps you clear through the clutter. But if you go over to CNN, they're acting like this is just such a slam dunk, and it's just such a great. Depending on what source you're getting from out of the courtroom, you're listening to a completely different thing. So it doesn't matter what they think, and it doesn't matter what Jay or Matt thinks. I mean, your point is so correct, Jay. What matters? Those 12 people who are absorbing the information and ought not to be absorbing anything outside of what's going on in the courtroom.
You have the wisdom of Solomon.
No, I'm just friends with you, Jay. That's what I get for this deal. Let's see. I think I have. By the way, while you're bringing up your favorite driver, by the way, Jay's favorite driver in NASCAR right now is the number 5 car, Kyle Larson. Which I would note that he never brings up Chase Elliott when he does well, but Kyle Larson gets brought up a lot when he does well. And he is running the Indianapolis 500 Memorial Day weekend along with the Coca-Cola 600. Has anybody talked about the fact that he was ramming into the 17 car when he was passing the finish line? I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know.
Chris Buescher said it was great and it raced clean. And because, going into the fourth turn when Larson went high, Buescher could have doored him into the wall, and he did. It was just good, clean racing. And look, racing's a contact sport, man. And Buescher didn't have any problem with it, and if he did, then I didn't either.
I know. Well, and I'm picking on you, but Larson said, because they were showing him. Did you see the video where they show him the video of it for the first time?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And when he comes down and doors him, he goes, he said, I felt like he had a run, and I had to kind of I had to side draft him and get that run off of him. But look, you're 500 yards from the finish line. You do what you got to do to win at that point, right?
Well, listen, you mentioned Chase Elliott. Next weekend, Matt, I am going to be in Dawsonville, Georgia.
Huh. How about that?
Racing.
Wow.
So hopefully, Friday is practice day, so hopefully you'll have me on from the racetrack.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, I love that. I love everything about that. What track are you going to be at? Do you know?
It's at Atlanta Motorsports Park. It's about a 2 miles of road racing course, and it's not Road Atlanta. You may have heard of Road Atlanta, but this is a different track. And it's like 5 miles outside of Dawsonville, Georgia.
You going to the pool room?
I'll have to, Ryan. No question about it.
Well, it is a fabulous place. I recommend the Bully Burger. It's what they're known for. Call it the Bully Burger. Jay,
think I can get him to play that siren for me?
Oh, well, yeah. Chase got to win to play that siren. I don't know if they'll. I don't know if they'll sound off the siren or not, but I don't know if you have as much influence as Kevin Harvick, you might get them to sound the siren.
That's funny.
Jay, have fun next weekend. Thank you, brother.
Love you, brother.
Take care. There's Jay St. Clair, our man, our legal correspondent, my life consultant, Jay St. Clair, spending the better part of the hour with us. It is a First Amendment Freestyle Friday on Super Talk 99.7 WTN 152. Back in a moment. Hey, folks, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to talk with you for a moment about the Tennessee Men's Clinic. I'll tell you what I'm giggling about right after I tell you about Tennessee Men's Clinic. Tennessee Men's Clinic, it's no laughing matter. A lot of men go through issues involving energy, and some of those issues involve what I like to refer to as bedroom activity. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about when I talk about that. And half of men in America go through this at some point or another. And the question is, what do you do about it? Do you just do nothing about it? Do you trust yourself to pills and over-the-counter type Medicaid? Or do you go to qualified urologists that have been doing this for well over 10 years, that have multiple plans of action to help you specific to your needs, to get you back to the energy level, to get you back to where you want to be with regard to your life? There's no shame in this game, gentlemen. You just need solutions. And if you're looking for a solution, don't accept that this is just life now. Make an appointment with the Tennessee Men's Clinic. They can help you. They are effective in 90% of cases with regard to your issues involving the bedroom. So I encourage you to go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. That's TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Do yourself that favor or give them a call and schedule an appointment. 2 locations, one's in Cool Springs and the other's in Midtown. Been there since 2014. It's 615-208-9090. 208-9090 for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. 2 hours down and 1 to go. It's the Matt Murphy Show, a First Amendment Freestyle Friday edition of the broadcast. I'll get you caught up with what's going on in the headlines, tell you what we think about said same, and then we will introduce you, if you've never heard him, to Scott Southworth. He is a great singer-songwriter from right here in Nashville, Tennessee, and he's got a new song that I thought you'd be interested in. It has to do with some of that beautiful sound of the cicada. That is on the way on the Matt Murphy Show on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Join us online at 997WTN.com. Back in a moment.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The judge wrapping up court early in the hush money trial. It resumes next week. Trump is accused of falsifying documents to repay former fixer Michael Cohen for payments made to Stormy Daniels to hide an affair ahead of the 2016 election. ABC's Aaron Katersky has more on today's testimony from people who used to work for Trump.
These were all witnesses to get the records into the record. We looked at phone logs, tweets, text messages, and other documents and records that are likely to come up during the testimony of Michael Cohen, who is probably the next to last witness for the prosecution. There may be a summary witness. Prosecutors said, depending on how the cross-examination goes, they could rest the case as soon as next week.
Trump denies the affair. Biden administration is defending its decision to delay a shipment of heavy bombs to Israel over concerns of civilian casualties in Rafah. It comes as a government report is due out, focusing on how Israel has conducted the war against Hamas.
The State Department report was ordered by the president in February, a 90-day review of whether Israel has violated U.S. or international law in Gaza. Sources familiar tell ABC News that while the report will be critical of how the IDF has conducted the war, it will not conclude that Israel has broken the law. If such a conclusion had been reached, the administration would be expected to withhold U.S. support for Israel.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy. The Pentagon released a list of items included in the $400 million aid package to Ukraine. The latest round, heavy on air defense and artillery ammunition. Ukraine's president confirming that Russia began a new push into the Kharkiv region, territory that Ukraine regained in the initial months of war.
Ukrainian officials are saying that for now, Ukrainian forces were expecting the attack and were able to repel it so far, but say that heavy fighting is continuing. One source has told our colleagues in Ukraine that they hit the Russians badly, but it is hard to tell how this is going to develop.
ABC's Patrick Reevell. You're listening to ABC News.
It is the First Amendment Freestyle Friday edition of the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WT, and I'm so pleased you've decided to join us. Whatever time you give us is an honor and a privilege, and we thank you for it. It's 2:05. We have another hour to go before we hand off to Brian Wilson and The Drive. Doing it a little bit differently today. I mean, Fridays are always a little bit different as we anticipate the weekend, but today in particular, I mean, first and foremost, there's not a lot of tremendous news items coming out of the headlines today. We're seeing the culmination of the Trump trial in New York City. We've discussed that. A few headlines locally. There's one that I'll get into at 2:35 this afternoon involving the Metro Nashville Police Department and their odd decision not to interview a particular individual who is now in federal custody for threatening the governor and the governor's wife. We'll get into that very serious topic coming up in about 30 minutes or so. But, you know, it's cicada season, and that doesn't come around very often. And with that in mind, I saw that a great artist that I've had the pleasure of meeting and seeing perform at the Bluebird and other locations has a little something for those of us who are interested in cicada season. And so we hooked up, and I said, look, you guys have to come on and tell us all about it and play the song for us. And Scott Southworth, who has made an appearance a time or two on the radio show, rejoins us in studio. Scott, good to have you, man.
Nice to have you. How are you?
Man, it's absolutely my pleasure.
I'll get right on in here so you can really
know how to
hear the richness of this voice.
You notice I didn't give your partner headphones over there. I failed in my duties as a host, so he has to just depend on the kindness of me to tell him that he sounds great. Les Kerr is with us as well.
I'll have to depend on the natural sound, the nat sound as they call it.
The natural sound. This is the great Les Kerr from the Gulf Coast of the U.S. and we've known each other for I don't know how many years. You were just reminding me how we met, so that's...
we did meet at the Bluebird, and I'm saying it's at least 15 years ago, maybe longer.
It had to have been. Mm-hmm. It had to have been. So.
Who was first in Nashville?
I arrived in 87.
You got me beat. I arrived in 2004.
Oh, okay. I
was paving the way for Scott. That was my job. They said, go up there, make sure the water's a little smoother when he gets there.
That's right. I'm very sensitive. I'm very sensitive.
You mentioned, Les, right before we came on air, that you spent some time in radio on kind of the other side of radio doing broadcast as a news guy.
Right.
Did you always play music?
Yes. Going back to my high school years, I played music like a lot of people that end up here have. And the whole time I was doing radio news, and I have a degree in journalism from Ole Miss, and I ended up in my hometown of Pascagoula, Mississippi, starting in radio there, and ended up at several other Gulf Coast radio stations. But during the whole time, I would play on the weekends at private parties and around, and I always it was in my heart to follow music, and I finally decided. I was 29 years old. I'd never been married, and I thought if I'm ever going to see if I can do anything in Nashville, now's the time. Because, and so it's been a great time. I've enjoyed it very much living up here and getting involved in the music business.
Tell me your thoughts about the changing atmosphere of Nashville. And I know that this could probably take an hour or two, but
I'll
take
tell
your
you,
time with it.
I don't really pitch my songs to other artists. I've got a nice little fan base, and it gets bigger, luckily. Frankly, since the pandemic to me was a blessing because I did 67 consecutive Tuesday night shows from my house on Facebook.
Wow.
That broadened my whole appeal. But anyway, getting back to the music, I really write songs that fit my mouth, as George Burns once said about the jokes he told. So I don't really, the music business can do what it wants to do, but I just do what I feel comfortable doing. And it's been a nice career.
Well, I mean, your style of music, and I was telling Scott a minute ago too, Scott, your style of music just appeals to me, and I don't want to sound like an old fart on the radio, but it's just the country that I grew up with. But it has twist to it. It has new things that you're adding to it, and I mean, you guys know far better than I can discuss. But the CD that you put out, Coming Around to the Honky Tonk Again, is just a fabulous feel of old school country, and thank you for putting it out. And if you've not gotten a copy of it, get a copy of it because it is good music.
Beautiful. And
you have a new one about to come out too, don't you?
I decided to throw another one out here 8 months later, so I got one coming out in June. But I say that if we don't want to sound like old fogies, poor Belle's trying to look up George Burns right now as we speak. But yeah. I mean, that's what we do. We just keep putting out music. But I think what Les does, and what I've tried to do, instead of worrying about what's happening on these streets behind your building here, is we've found our niches, and we're going out and finding our ears that way. I know I spent many years banging my head against a wall up and down the row, and you did too. And without any animosity, it's just what I do isn't what they wanted at the time. And so, you try to bend to that, and after a while, it's like, gosh, I don't even like these songs I'm pitching.
I wrote some of the worst songs after I moved to Nashville that I'd ever written, and I thought, this is not the direction I really want to go.
No. Having two songwriters in the studio like this, I mean, it compels me. I'm just naturally a curious person.
Sure.
I mean, that is there a danger to writing to what you think people want to hear?
It depends.
Does that question even make sense to you?
No, it does. And I had a radio show for a long time on SM where I'd interview publishers and I'd say, what do you want? And they say, we want something different.
Well, I mean, that's what everybody says.
Then every now and then I'd get a call from a publisher that would say, hey, we need something that sounds like the Lady Antebellum song of blah, 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 blah. And I go, well, wait a minute.
That's not different.
On the radio, you say you want something different, but when you're actually looking, you're looking for a Me Too. And of course, that was in, and that was just a couple of folks. I'm not saying that's the whole industry.
Well, it seems like every few years there are these terms that people talk, about what they want. Publishers want, A&R people want, and all this. And when I got here in '87, they said, we want upbeat and positive songs. So I wrote one called I'm Positive You're Going to Leave Me, which I think, that's what they wanted, and it had a snappy little beat to it and everything, So
I had a song pitcher tell me once, I want the saddest song you've ever written, but that I can fast dance to.
Fast dance to. Okay.
Give me something that'll break my heart, but I can dance fast with it. So I mean, it is what it is, and I think that both Les and I have a great time doing our own thing, and traveling all over the place and playing to the ears that want to hear us is so much more fun and satisfying, not only in the soul, but in the pocketbook. I made more money playing my own stuff to people than I ever did with other people writing recording my songs.
It's funny. Something you said, I'm positive that you're going to leave me. Is that what the name of the song? I was driving back from my niece's graduation, and I was listening to something on Sirius XM. It was John Mayer, the John Mayer channel, which I'm surprisingly a fan of John Mayer. I think he's a great song.
Here.
Oh no, but look, he taught me something I didn't know. His channel, he plays a lot of different music, and he was playing a song, and he said this song. He said it got dinged for a song being about nothing. He said, but it was. I've had a number of songwriters tell me that it's so popular because it has no minor chords, and it's sitting on the dock of the bay by Otis Redding. He said the lyrics are not happy or upbeat.
Sure.
But because it has no minor chords, it creates a happy, upbeat feel, and people just feel good listening to it, and they don't really know why. It's not about the music necessarily. He's just sitting around, but it's about the feel of the song.
Yeah.
Getting back to your point, Scott, about the sad song you can dance to. One of the other phrases that got tossed around here for a long time was, if they cry, they buy. In other words, the sadder the song, the better a success. And they would always point to "He Stopped Loving Her Today" by George Jones.
Brilliant song. Brilliant song.
Oh, that's good stuff. Well, you got some brilliant tunes and some brilliant subject matter going on with this song. Tell me about this song that we're going to hear today.
Well, I honestly think that the beginning of this song started from this radio station, and I've been trying to remember who it was. It might have been Mandis. It was a couple of years ago when some cicadas came out. Every year there's a little batch of them usually, but and so they were talking, and I think somebody on this station was like, what's their purpose? Why do they even exist? What good are they? And why does this even happen? And then somebody said, well, can you eat them? Are they edible? And I can tell you they are for the dogs, because my dogs keep bringing them in by the mouthful, and their teeth are rattling like maracas. Those things are shaking in their mouths right now. But it just got me thinking, can you eat it? And I know that it's cicada, but cicada rhymes with enchilada. And Jeffrey Steele told me once, never let the truth ruin a good rhyme. So I've taken that to heart with this song.
Taking some liberties with the verbiage, right?
With the verbiage. But they were saying this, I'm driving, and I just started laughing. I said, yeah, cicada enchiladas and alligator pie. And that made me laugh because I amused myself greatly. And after I just sat there for a while with it, and I don't know, maybe a year ago, I called Les up.
That's right.
I come from a Hispanic family. My mother's full-blooded Mexican, and so I had the idea of a Mexican immigrant and a New Orleans woman coming together and creating these great, recipes. So I reached out to Les because he's from that area.
I grew up in Pascagoula, Mississippi, which is in the heart of the upper Gulf Coast. And my mother was a great Creole cook. I remember when the blackened redfish craze came out, she thought that was crazy. She said, son, if I ever blackened anything, it was an accident in my kitchen. But anyway, we had a lot of jambalaya, red beans and rice. Shrimp Creole was her favorite dish to make. And Pascagoula is not too far from New Orleans, so that's always been a part of my culture. I was actually born in Louisiana. So that whole upper Gulf Coast into New Orleans part of my life has influenced my music quite a bit. So anyway, when Scott asked me to help on this song, and we weren't really thinking about this current eruption of the cicadas, were we?
No, we weren't. It wasn't until a few months ago I said, why don't we record this as a duet? We've actually both recorded it as a solo for our upcoming CDs. But I said, let's record it as a duet and drop it right before the cicadas pop out and just have some fun with it.
And you're a marketing wizard, and here we are. That's a great thing. Thank you,
wizard.
Matt.
Well, without further ado, let's give it a go. You want to give it a try?
Sure, let's do it.
Bel K, ride those pots. Make sure that we sound all nice and good.
Back up a little bit, but again,
I'm trying to do the same thing. I'm up against the wall.
So this is cicada enchilada.
Cicada enchilada.
Let's do it.
Pedro crossed the border, made his way to Louisiana. He met a voodoo woman named Maria Fabienne.
He boiled some frijoles, she added Creole spice. They conjured up a recipe for love at first bite. They got married in a hurry, built a little shack. If your John boat is running, you can go and get a snack. They serve cicada enchiladas with the alligator pie, jalapeno margaritas that will punch you in the eye. I know it sounds a little crazy, but don't knock it till you try. Cicada enchiladas with the alligator pie. Maria's Uncle Boudreaux's got a Cajun band that's shacking, rocking like a Piro every Friday night jam.
Caliente de la Bayo, lined up around the block. It's a human jambalaya and a party never stop. Where the crawfish are boiling, empanadas frying with cicada enchilada and the alligator pie. They serve cicada enchiladas with the alligator pie, jalapeno margaritas that will punch you in the eye. I know it sounds poquito loco, but don't knock it till you try. Cicada enchiladas with the alligator pie. Turn it around. I know it sounds a little loco, but don't knock it till you try. Cicada enchiladas with the alligator pie. With cicada enchiladas with the alligator pie. Uno, dos, hey. Esta vista de comida, tengo de comer.
Hold on, let me turn my mic on there. A little cicada enchilada and alligator pie. I love it.
It sounds great, doesn't it?
That's a bouncy tune. You can dance to it. Now, I wouldn't want to eat it, but
Well, no, I'll tell you, on the Gulf Coast, people do find recipes every 13 years or whenever it is, and they're liable to put anything in gumbo. Or everybody I know that has gumbo or makes gumbo has their own particular recipe. So believe me, there are recipes that include cicadas. And frankly, in a gumbo, you might not tell it at all.
You couldn't tell the difference.
No, and there's a lot of protein in them.
Yeah.
I mean, the birds love this time of year. Actually,
Oh,
they go
no
crazy.
question.
Yeah.
I mean, no, this is like a jubilee. This is a feast for the creatures out there, and I'm watching it in my backyard as the birds. I mean, you can watch. If you'll watch the birds, and they'll swoop down and they'll catch them in midair.
Right.
And their only defense, not to get too deep in cicada thought here, but the only defense that they won't bite you. They don't have any stingers. They don't have any defenses. Their only defense is that there's so many of them.
Yeah.
There are a gajillion of them. And so they expect that even though the creatures, the woodland creatures, the dogs and the cat and all of that will eat them, there'll be enough that they'll be able to lay some larvae.
Well, and they also are very creative because I was at a restaurant just 2 days ago. I live in Bellevue, where all the stars live, you know.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I was at a restaurant out there and sitting on a deck that had a platform with little slats, you know. The cicadas were coming out of the ground probably 2 or 3 feet below the deck and getting up through those cracks in the slats.
Wow.
And walking around, you know, it's like, hello, we're here now.
Well, and we did not really hear them before we left for Georgia, but we stopped through Montgomery and dropped the dogs off. And my in-laws live on about 6 acres of wooded land, and they were everywhere. I mean, and you couldn't see them. You could just hear them. And it was this hum. And so the dogs acted insane for 4 days.
Right.
And we didn't really think about it. And we realized on the way out, they're acting insane because of the cicadas. Because if I can hear what I can hear, I can't imagine what the dogs can hear or smell or see or whatever. So
I think it's interesting for us. You know, I live down in Lewisburg, and we were right below the path from the Wednesday storm. And I thought it was interesting that I got home Thursday afternoon. I was in Ohio, but I came home Thursday and they were just deafening. But they hadn't. My wife said that the day before they hadn't at all. So I wonder if they knew that the story. You know, I instinctively said maybe we'll stay down here one more day.
One more day.
Yeah, just we'll chill one more time. All right. Here's my trivia question of the day.
Okay.
Do you know what they eat?
What do cicadas
in the ground? How do they survive for the 17 years?
The roots. The roots from the trees.
The tree sap.
Yeah.
That's right. The tree sap, they latch onto the roots and they suck the tree sap from the roots.
There you go.
You have educated me here this afternoon.
Well, no, I mean, Southworth knew.
I had no idea.
I didn't think songwriters were that smart, but look at there.
You're like the Nashville Public Broadcasting guy. I thought for sure you'd know this.
Well, I know a lot of things, but not that.
Not that. Well, now you do.
Now I do know. Now I'll go on television and tell people about it.
All right, let's take a quick time out.
Yes,
We'll come back, and I want to let people know how they can get their hands on that song.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
there's got to be somewhere, and so you guys will tell us. Les and Scott are with us. It's the Matt Murphy Show. Quick time out. Be back in a moment. 2:23 on Super Talk. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. You know, there was a time not so long ago when you talked about chiropractic care, you were talking about things spinal in nature, right? You were talking about bones. Well, Dr. Gill has kind of changed all that, particularly with his spinal decompression. He gets in between the bones and gets hydration and kind of nutrition to the places that need it in your body and help alleviate some of the pain issues that you might have without the need for pills, without the need for needles, and without the need for surgery. And that's what it's all about. The last thing you should consider if you have a back or a neck issue or any sort of issue on your body is surgery. That should be a last resort. So go to the Dr. Gill Center and get checked out. For less than $50, they can help you out. They'll give you a complete examination, x-rays. They'll sit down and talk about the results of their findings, and they'll develop an action plan for you. So if you hurt on your back, your neck, knee pain, hip pain, elbow pain, anywhere that it hurts, they can assist with their modern technologies like their spinal decompression, red light therapy, and their Class 5 laser system, all designed to pinpoint pain and eliminate it naturally. So give them a call at 615-882-4838, 882-4838. I'm a client, I'm a patient, and I want you to be as well. That's the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. Welcome back. A few more minutes with our very special in-studio guest, Scott Southworth and Les Kerr. They have just performed Cicada Enchiladas and Alligator Pie. You got to pronounce it right.
You don't.
Yeah, you do. You understand this song. And these are two great guys, great songwriters, great performers here in town. And you guys hang out at the Bluebird all the time? You're there quite often.
I'm there June 22nd. I just found out. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's nice. That's how you find things out. How did you find out you were going to be in New Zealand? Is it just a telephone call?
Oh, no, that I chased down. That was, I've done a lot in Europe, but I started thinking, okay, I'm not getting any younger, and where else do I want to go before I wrap all this up? And New Zealand was top of the list, so I just started looking around until I found some country festivals that fit me, and just had an amazing time. Went to Hobbiton, went to check out all the Hobbit stuff. And by the way, Sam from The Lord of the Rings is not a garbage pick that's the number one sidekick.
Bell, is Mac Morey listening in there? Scott's giving you thumbs up on your Sam
Gamgee. Absolutely. I mean, come on. He carries Frodo into the volcano.
Yes, thank you so much.
This is
golly. Got these haters around us, man.
Sad. It's sad that he's doing this. When he came in, he said, I feel like I need to pick Mac back up, lift him back up. So how can people pick up this song? This is a top-notch song. And by the way, a lot of compliments on the Members Nutrition Super Text line. I'm going to get a couple of those in a moment. But how can people find it?
Just it's anywhere.
All the platforms.
All the places.
All the
platforms.
Just, I bet you type in cicada and you'll find it.
I'd put enchiladas in there too.
And at our live shows, we'll both be playing it separately and together. I had different things coming up. So.
And then you did put it on your upcoming CD. And when does that come out?
Probably the end of June. We're looking at. I've got one more little thing to do. But
what's it called?
It'll be called Child of Highway 90, which is the Gulf Coast Highway. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have an album coming out June 28th called Dead Fish. Only Dead Fish Go With the Flow. and and that comes out June 28th, and my version will be on that as well. So if you want a CD, that's how you get it.
That's right.
See us.
And speaking of the Bluebird, I'll be there on June 4th for the anniversary show with Crystal Gale and T. Graham Brown and some people like that.
Wow. They couldn't find anybody good?
I guess not. That's why they needed me, you see.
I guess, wow.
But yeah, so I play there quite a bit, and they've been real good.
They figured they had all the hair they need with Crystal, so they've invited you.
There you go. That's right. Perfect.
You can find out all about Scott Southworth at scottsouthworth.com.
That's it.
And you can find out all about Les Kerr at leskerr.com. Spell Kerr C-E-R-R?
No, K-E-R-R.
K-E-R-R.
L-E-S-K-E-R-R. Think of Kerr jars.
There you go. My wife knows all about those.
Or Deborah Carr, although she pronounced it wrong.
Sure. A lot of reaction. What did he say the name of the Highway 90 album is?
It's called Child of Highway 90.
The most beautiful, I'm a motorcycle rider, and I will tell you, the most beautiful ride I've ever had is across the state of Mississippi on Highway 90. Well, just an absolutely incredible experience.
Growing up there, Highway 90 was the way we went because Interstate 10 was not finished when I was in high school. You had to go on Highway 90 if you had to go east or west, because if you went south, you ended up in the Gulf of Mexico. And if you went north, it was miles of pine trees for a long time. So east and west, from Biloxi to New Orleans and Mobile going east, and Pensacola, all that whole stretch, that's my stomping grounds where I grew up.
Well, 3618 writes in and says, "Boys, that song made my crappy day all better."
Oh, nice.
What it's
God
all
bless
about.
You.
And Keith writes in and says, "Damn, I like that music." That's a good compliment, too.
All right.
And then this one, 6205 says, "Jimmy Buffett is smiling from up above." How about that?
That is quite a compliment.
It does have a Buffett kind of feel to it. Kind of an upbeat deal.
They were from Pascagoula, and I knew his mother and some of his family growing up, and very nice people.
Well, y'all are good folks, too, and you honor me by stopping by and playing some of your music.
Thank you so much
man.
for having us. We're so excited.
We really appreciate it.
First time we played it on the radio.
That's right.
It's the first time we've actually
performed together. That's right.
Yeah.
First time.
Well, so you can hear it together on radio. You can hear it on 99.7 WTN.com's website, or you can hear it separately. Are you guys, June 4th at the Bluebird. You mentioned later on in June at the Bluebird.
Yeah, next weekend I'm in Wisconsin. If you're anywhere near
around.
Prairie du Chien,
sure,
come on
hey.
out, Matt. And
I'll drop by.
oh yeah, please.
That's closer to New Zealand.
That's true. That's true.
Any place else you're around, Les?
I'll
before-
be for a Memorial Day weekend event at Reba McIntyre's old farm, Starstruck Farms. They're having a huge event, and they've got our friends Mark Allen Barnett and Jeff Pearson and I will be doing a show as part of that. So that's on the Saturday night of Memorial Day weekend at Starstruck Farms. So come on down.
Have you eaten at the Chuck Wagon yet?
Yes, I have.
Is it good?
It's great.
Is it worth it?
Very good, yes.
Okay, because my wife and I are threatening to go, and I just didn't know.
Oh, good. Well, see, I try to eat at places that will help keep my waistline at its proper,
At its
level.
I call it at my peak.
Yeah.
I like to be at my.
That's
I like
right.
to be at my
I mean,
peak.
stay at my fighting weight.
My waistline is crested. If you want to.
Guys, this is an absolute pleasure. Thank y'all for stopping
Thanks,
by.
Matt. Thanks so
All right,
much.
we'll be back in just a moment. Wrap things up in the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Sorry, we went a little long.
Thank you very much for having us.
Friends, at this time of year, you're using that AC more and more and more. And here's the last thing I want to happen. If you know or if you feel like you're about to deal with something going out, you need to go ahead and call my man, Jeff Eddy, and Efficient Heating and Cooling, a small company with big results in mind. You've heard me talk about them over the years on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I love the way that Jeff does his business. He isn't interested in buying 187 trucks. He's interested in satisfying his customers and making sure that he does things the right way. 100% customer satisfaction is always his goal. And if you are hearing something that's suspicious, or if you know that the AC is about to go kaput, go ahead and call Jeff Eddy. Let him check it out. You know when he tells you that you can get another season out of it, he's telling you the truth. You know when he's telling you that it's time to go ahead and make the change, make the switch, he's telling you the truth. And when that happens, they're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric and an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. Give him a call at 615-784-4424, 784-4424, or efficienthvac.net. That's efficienthvac.net. If your AC's not ready, call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and the Matt Murphy Show. It is 2:38. What a great visit in studio. Look, I know that we do news of the day. We do the headlines. We talk about the serious things. It is always a pleasure for me to get a chance to get away from that for a minute or two and do things like that. And I hope that you enjoy it. I know it's not for everyone. I understand that. But I hope that you enjoy it enough that you put up with us. Les Kerr is his name. That's Kerr. You can find him at leskerr.com. Scott Southworth, a good friend. And Mark Allen Burnett wants to remind you that he is the official scheduler of all songwriting entertainment on the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So, Mark Allen, thank you.
Reschedule him twins.
I figured you'd have forgot about them by now.
No.
Which one was your favorite?
I can't remember who's which is which.
I know which is which.
But I can't remember. You're more familiar with them than I am.
Well, do you remember either of their first names?
No, not off the top of my head. I just remember single and not single. Or single. No, they're both single now. That's what it was. Okay.
I'm just kidding. Look, when a man's busy with a shovel digging a hole, you're supposed to stay out of the way. I think it's Jennifer and Heather, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. And I think Heather was the one that you were making googly eyes at the entire interview.
Which is kind of odd considering they look exactly alike.
Well, I
must have been personality based.
At the time, you were. Well, at the time, I think you were clear that there was one that was a taken woman and one that was not. So,
yeah,
I think that probably affected your decision making. Anyway, the name of the song is, and you got to kind of, it's enchilada, so it's a cicada enchilada. We know that it's really pronounced cicadas, but to make the rhyme work, cicada enchilada is an alligator pie, and you can find that online or any of your downloadable.
You know what that reminded me of?
What's that?
Jimmy Buffett's song.
Yeah, we had I don't know if you heard me mention, but somebody on the super text line said Jimmy Buffett is smiling from above. Yeah. And Les mentioned that he was influenced by Buffett, knew the Buffett family, and so a lot of his music is kind of in that spirit. It's an upbeat, fun, kind of funky, kind of, ridiculous song, but, something fun.
Kind of goes in that same box as Cheeseburger in Paradise.
Yep, there you go. Or Why Don't We Get Drunk? And that's a good one, too.
Watch your mouth.
What? It's a great song, my friend. All right. Some of the other items that we're covering for you of a more serious nature. The Metro Nashville Police Department. This is from the Tennessee Star, and credit where due, Michael Patrick Leahy does a great job exposing this. The Tennessee Star learned that the Metro Nashville Police Department chose not to interview an alleged cyber stalker, now in federal custody, who left a very concerning message for Christ Presbyterian Academy, CPA, in March that caused the school to close down for a day. The individual, and this is a growing pattern around the United States of America, and it needs to be pointed out. The individual is a person by the name of Mackenzie McClure, a self-described trans man. All right, so does that mean, Bell, help me out. See, this is how stupid this is, right?
I think that means that they were born female and transitioned into a man. I think that's what it means.
I guess so. I mean, a trans man would be that you're not a biological male.
Okay.
Sure. Anyway, Mackenzie McClure, and also Mackenzie is an indicator to me that if you're calling yourself Mackenzie, you want to be identified as a female, I think, or a man. I don't know. Anyway, one way or the other, Mackenzie McClure, a self-identified trans man, also known as Calvin McClure, or some other name that makes no sense, was arrested on suspicion of cyber stalking by federal agents April 29th for a message that she left for CPA and her social media activity, where she made several concerning posts about CPA, Christ Presbyterian Academy, and threatened Tennessee Governor Bill Lee and wife Maria. McClure is currently in federal custody. According to the Metro Nashville Police Department Public Affairs Director, Don Aaron, in an email with the Tennessee Star, McClure does not reside in Davidson County, and this agency did not participate in an interview with her. The Star asked whether the MNPD interviewed McClure after she left her message for CPA, whether McClure had been sent for a mental health evaluation. if MNPD determined McClure made the threat toward Bill Lee and if they took any precautions due to such a threat. However, they reportedly identified and engaged McClure after she left her March voicemail, but police officers did not arrest her because they determined the contents of the message did not constitute a threat at the time. So McClure was a former student of Christ Presbyterian Academy. McClure posted to her ex account days before her arrest. Also, Bill Lee knows if he makes one wrong move, it's Joe Ever for him and my fourth grade teacher, i.e. his wife. McClure made that threatening post the same day that Bill Lee made a visit to the campus of CPA, according to the criminal complaint. The Tennessee Star asked the governor's office to confirm whether Maria Lee taught McClure and if Bill Lee visited CPA's campus the same day of McClure's threatening post, and no response was received. Maria Lee did teach third and fourth grade at CPA for 14 years, as well as coached softball, track, and cross country. The criminal complaint document against McClure says she attended CPA from 1999 to 2004, which would jive with Maria Lee's presence on campus. I have been remiss, and I'm happy to admit this, but I was out for the better part of the week, and I missed this story when it was first breaking before we left in the latter portion of last week. And good on the Tennessee Star for being on top of this story. Why are more media outlets not making more of this story? We saw an obviously mentally disturbed transgender individual in this city kill people. 6 people, 3 children at the Covenant School. We watch as all of the state and federal officials that we can get on record do everything they can in their power to prevent the general population from seeing some of the writings of this obviously mentally disturbed person that killed these individuals at Covenant School. Now you have another transgendered individual targeting their own Christian-based school and targeting our own governor and his wife. And you can find precious little about this on local media. Why? Because local news decides what to and what not to cover based on narratives that they have created. And they've created these narratives that if you're a transgendered person, you're always the victim. You're always the one that's having violence thrust upon you. Not the other way around. But increasingly, I could go down a laundry list of these individuals across the United States of America that are creating violence. They're committing acts of violence, in some cases killing people, in other cases threatening people. Why? Well, that's a good question. It's a question that I believe merits much more further research and discussion. Is it because of some of the drugs that these people are being given? Are these drugs psychotropic in nature? Is it a dynamic by which the society in which they live has created this atmosphere that they're always the victim and they feel oppressed, and because of that, some of these individuals get angry and they lash out as a result? Are they all mentally disturbed? Why are we so afraid to talk about the mental instability of so many of these transgendered individuals? Now, obviously, there are many people across all walks of life and all spectrums of life that we find to be mentally disturbed. And I believe that much of what we see going on across the United States of America is due to, and this is my opinion, pharmaceutical industry promoting and pushing out psychotropic drugs to prevent human beings from having actual feelings. I was talking to somebody yesterday and said as much. One of the biggest issues that we have are the pharmaceutical industry insisting that you ought not to feel bad, that they have a drug for that. And we lose the ability to have feelings. For all of you on the super text line, I think that this was a born woman who now claims to be a man. But I'm not entirely sure. And that's part of the point. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. At best, what you're going to get out of me, just to back up for a moment, and I've said this many times in the past, I'm not here to hurt anybody. I believe in America. I believe in an America where you can live a life of your choosing. And if you want to be born a man and wear a dress and, whatever, you do you. But don't expect me to fall prey to your fantasy or your mental delusions. So you'll get man or woman, trans man or trans woman out of me. That's about it. And as far as pronouns go, I'll call you whatever the hell I want to call you. How about that? And you can choose to accept that or not. You can walk from that. You can call me whatever you want to call me. Is that a deal? You call me whatever you want to call me, and I'll call you whatever I want to call you, and we'll both agree that it's America. Is that fair? We need to do more to research these mental issues. The mentally unstable exist among us, and they're not being reported when they have to do with transgender issues. It's 2:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Winding down the Murphy portion of the broadcast day, but never you fear. You've got 4 hours of talk radio excellence with The Drive and Brian Wilson. The cicada-laden area of Watertown is the location of his broadcast. How'd the cicada hunt going there, Wilson?
I went out to my garage today and was doing some work in the garage, putting together. There's a whole story. I bought a cooler, and they didn't send me all the parts. And the parts have been trickling in over the course of the last 4 weeks. We're trying, and so I still haven't got the thing complete put together. But I noticed on my garage, the whole front of the garage is just covered in cicadas.
Huh?
It's bizarre. And then I'm also watching. I thought we had a robin's nest yesterday. I just got a quick glimpse at the bird right outside my window. It's actually a mama cardinal, and she has laid now a total of 4 eggs, and I'm going to be able to watch the nest right out my window of my studio as she raises those 4 young cardinals.
That's going to be such a beautiful and serene scene until the babies hatch.
Well, that's right. Yeah. Well, then we'll have a bird mic. We'll put a bird mic out there to catch the cheeping of the baby birds. But no, it's going to be cool. The thing is, we love our animals here in bucolic Watertown.
There's no question. They'll be like liberals, just chirping at your afternoon diatribes. What's coming up for this afternoon on The Drive, Mr. Wilson?
We're going to start out with the fact that Joe Biden seems to just continue to screw up the facts, the basic facts about the Biden economy and Bidenomics. We'll start with that. A really interesting discussion about fentanyl and how big the problem is here in the Nashville area. And it's, you know where it's all coming from. And of course, not one, but 2 exciting rounds of Phone Your Farm Friday.
That is on the way next with Brian Wilson in The Drive right after McMurray's newscast, which is happening right now. Have a wonderful weekend, folks. We'll be bright and early Monday at high noon. Until then, take care, folks. Hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.